Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! For us to create the largest number, we need to pick the biggest digits for the start of the number. So the biggest digit is 7, then 6, then 4, then 3. But the question says it wants the largest even number, so we need to just swap the last two around to make sure that it is even. So our answer is 7,634. Whenever we multiply two negatives, we always get a positive, so we know our answer will be positive. We're going to do 9 times 12, which is going to be 108, and v times v, which is going to be v squared. One way we can convert a fraction to a percentage is we can get the bottom of the fraction to be 100. So if we write down 2 over 5, and what we can do is we can times top and bottom by 20, but let's do it by 10 first. We'll do it in 2 steps. So times that by 10, times that by 10, and then double it. So essentially we can times the whole thing by 20. So 50 times 2 is 100. Now when you have 40 over 100, percent just means per 100. So it's 40 per 100, or 40%. Another way of thinking about 19 over 8 is just 19 divided by 8. And to do 19 divided by 8, we put 8 on the outside and we do the bus stop. And we've got 19 there. So 8 doesn't go into 1, so we're just going to move that 1 across. 8 goes into 19 twice, but there are remainders, so we'll need to put some zeros on the end here. And it's remainder 3. 8 goes into 33 times, and there's a remainder of 6. 8 goes into 67 times, and there's a remainder of 4. And 8 actually goes exactly into 40, so we didn't need some of those zeros. So the answer will be 2.375. This question's all about like terms. So what we can do is we can add this 10u with this 11u to make 21u. We can also add this 6v with this plus 4v to make 10v. We can also add this 10w to this minus 6w. So 10 take away 6 is 4w, so plus 4w. But we can't add a u term to a v term to a w term. So we have to just leave them be. So our answer is 21u plus 10v plus 4w. But we can multiply them, we just can't add or subtract them. So we've got 10x plus 2x. Now 10x plus 2x are like terms, so we can just add them together to make 12x. And we've got that equal to 24. Let's put in our solve lines. Now that 12 before the x is a times 12. So to get rid of it, we do the opposite, which is divide both sides by 12. And so we've got x on the left hand side and 24 divided by 12, which is 2. So our answer is x equals 2. In this question, we're given the output as 53. So we know that the output was 53. So now we've kind of got to work backwards. And when we work backwards through a function machine or a number machine, we do the opposite of what it says. So this first one says plus 9, but when we go backwards, we do the opposite, which is take away 9. So we do 53 take away 9, which is 44. Now we can check that by going the other way. So 44 plus 9 is 53, so that works. The next one says times 4, so the opposite would be divided by 4. So we're going to do 44 divided by 4, and that gives us an input of 11. Now let's check the whole thing. We put in 11. 11 times 4 is 44. 44 plus 9 is 53, so we know we've got it correct. We're going to start off with a dot at minus 13, and it says that x can be greater than minus 13, and greater is to the right of that, and it goes on forever, so we just put a little arrow saying it goes on forever. Last thing we do is check to see whether it's hollow or a filled in dot. Well, this cannot be equal to minus 13, so it remains a hollow dot. I'm going to write this expression by putting a time sign in, so 5 times x plus 8 times y. Rewrite it again, but instead of x we've got 4, instead of y we've got 3. So it's 5 times 4 plus 8 times 3. 5 times 4 is 20. 8 times 3 is 24. And 20 plus 24 is 44. Let's rewrite this expression, but with a time sign in, so v times w squared. Now w squared just means times by itself, so we can rewrite that as v times w times w. Okay, so we know v is minus 10, so minus 10. And we know w is minus 4, so it's times minus 4 times minus 4. Okay, so when you multiply, it doesn't matter which order we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do these ones first, and I'm going to ignore that times minus 4 at the end. So minus 10 times minus 4, that's a minus times a minus, which is a positive, 10 times 4, which is 40, times minus 4. Now we're going to do 40 times minus 4, so it's a positive times a negative, so that's going to be a negative. And 40 times 4, well, 4 times 4 is 16, so 40 times 4 is 160. So it's going to be minus 160. Instead of doing 0.43 times 16, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 43 times 16. So I'm just going to get rid of the decimal and just change it to 43. But I've got to remember what I've done. So how have I managed to do that? Well, I've times it by 100, and that'll be important at the end. And to do 43 times 16, there are loads and loads of different methods. Just pick whichever method you enjoy doing or that you find easiest. I'm going to do the grid method, but it by no means is the best method. It's just the one I'm choosing to do. So 43 is 43, and 16 is 10 and 6. So 40 times 10 is 400. 40 times 6 is 240, 10 times 3 is 30, and 3 times 6 is 18. Then I'm just going to add them all together. So 400 plus 240 plus 30 plus 18. And when you add those all together, you get 688. Okay. Now, the problem is that obviously this is not going to equal 688. What we've done though is we've timesed it by 100. So to find the answer, all we need to do is divide this, undo that times by 100, so divide it by 100. When we divide that by 100, we get 6.88. So you do need to know the parts of a circle. So the full distance around the circle is called the circumference. If you've got a little bit of it, it's an arc. If you've got a line across it, that would be a chord. And the part that's kind of trapped in there is called a segment. Then if you've got a line across the circle going through the centre, that's a diameter. If you've got a line just going to the centre, if I can draw it properly, then that's called a radius. If you've got a line that touches the circle just on one point like that, that's a tangent. But in this case, we have a sector. So we're going to start off by filling out this table. So 0 times 1, 0 times 2, 0 times 3, 1 times those, 2 times those, and 3 times those. And we're looking for the probability that the product, which just means that when we times them together, will be more than 2. So which of these are more than 2? Let's circle all the ones that are more than 2. And to work out a probability, it's always the successful outcomes over the total amount. So the successful ones are the ones I've circled, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The total are all of them together, where it's a 4x4 grid, so it would be 16 in total. And so the probability that the product will be more than 2 will be 9 over 16. To get from the length of a square to the area, we square the length. To work backwards, what we do is we square root, because the inverse of square is square root. So we've got 196, and we're going to square root it to find the length. So we work out the square root of 196, which is what number times itself is 196. And you should learn them from 1 to 15, so you should know all of the square numbers from 1 to 15. So you should know that the answer is 14. So the length therefore is 14. So to work out what the perimeter is going to be the distance around the square. So if I draw a square out, we know that each of these lengths are 14. So it's just going to be 14 times 4, which will be 56. The median is the middle number when the numbers are in order. Now it's quite difficult to do with a table, so we used a formula, and that formula is to find the position of the median. We do how many numbers there are, which I'll call n, we add 1 to it, and then we divide that by 2. And that shows us where the median is. It doesn't tell us what the median is, it shows us where it is. Now, we need to figure out where these numbers are in this list. So the first number is a 2, and there is one of those. The next number is a 3, and there's 3 of those. So 1, 2, 3. The next number is a 4, and there's 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The next number is a 5, and there's 8 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the next number is a 6, and there's 13 of those. Now I'm not going to do all of them, okay, because we're not going to be working out the median by writing out all the numbers, but I do want to show you where these numbers are coming from. So what we do is we do a running total. So I'm going to do a running total. The running total is just adding up the frequencies as we go. So the first one is just 1. Then we're going to add the 3 in the next row, so that's 4. Add the 4 in the next row, 8. Add the 8 in the next row, 16. Add the 13 in the next row, and that would be 29. Now, we use the running total because the running total shows us where the last number is in that group. Okay, so this shows us that the first number is the last number that is a 2, which is true, we can see it here. This 4 shows us that the fourth number is the last number that's a 3, so let's check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, it works. This 8 shows us the 8th number is the last number that's a 4, let's check that. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This 16 shows us the 16th number is the last number that's a 5. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And this 29 here shows us that the 29th number is just the last number, but it's the last number that's the 6th. Okay, so let's work out how many numbers there are, and we do that by adding up the frequency. So we're just going to add up all of the frequency together, and we find out that there's 29 numbers altogether. So 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 8 plus 13. So using our formula, which is 29 plus 1 divided by 2. 29 plus 1 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. So we're looking for the 15th number. So looking down our running total list, well, the last number that's a 4 is the 8th number, so we haven't got to the 15th number yet. and the last number that's a 5 is the 16th number. So if the last number that's a 5 is the 16th number, then surely the 15th must also be a 5, and so our median is 5. We've got to first of all find out what the y-intercept is, and the y-intercept is just where our line hits the y-axis. So the y-intercept, which we sometimes can call C, is 11. Now, what's that 11? What units is it? Well, it's 11 pounds, because our y coordinate, our y-axis is in pounds. But what does that mean for the taxi company? Well, how many miles have been travelled on the y-axis? Well, 0. So at 0 miles, we've had to pay the taxi man or woman £11. So we know that therefore the taxi costs £11 at the start. Let's leave it at that. Okay, so the initial charge, or the cost for the taxi turning up, is £11. For each of these options, try and construct in your head the triangles that would be made from these lengths. And I'm going to give an example for question D, or for option D. And I'm going to construct my triangle just with sticks. So we're going to start off with our first stick, which is 19 centimetres. Then we're going to do another stick, which is going to be 37 centimetres. And we've got one last stick, which is 61 centimetres. Now, looking at the first two sticks, the actual combined distance of them, so when we add them together, so be 19 centimetres plus 37 centimetres, is 56 centimetres. So that's the combined width of them. And you can see that that actually wouldn't be able to create a triangle if the third stick is 61 centimetres. So the side here could combine with this side. So we could move this whole stick here onto this side here, but we can't actually make a triangle with it because the two lengths that we've got won't ever reach the end bit here. They just won't ever reach that bit to be able to create the triangle. And I'm just going to put that back. So our answer is option D. First thing I'm going to do to answer this question is I'm just going to quickly draw out the shape again, just so I can show the calculations a bit easier. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do on the diagram is convert all of these lengths to centimetres. So we've got 4,200, 1,200, 2,400 and 1,800. And next I'm going to convert them into what the scale says they're going to be in our diagram. So a scale of 1 to 600 means 600 in real life, and this diagram is showing the real life situation, is 1 on our diagram. So I've converted them all into centimetres, and now I need to work out how many centimetres there are going to be on our diagram. So I'm going to start with the 4,200, and all you need to do is divide it by 600, and I get the answer of 7. So it's going to be 7 centimetres on our diagram. 1,200 divided by 600, it's going to be 2. So that's going to be 2 centimetres on our diagram. 2,400 is obviously going to be 4 centimetres. And 1,800, divide that by the 600, it's obviously going to be 3. So it's going to be 3 centimetres. So now we know what it's going to be on our diagram. We draw it. So we're going to do 7 across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 across there. I'm going to do 2 down. So 1, 2, 4 across. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do the left hand one first, I think. So we're going to do 3 down here. And then we just kind of join it up with what's left over. And that's our diagram. To answer this question, we need to cut this shape into two shapes. So we're going to draw a line across here, and we're going to cut it into a rectangle and a triangle. Now we need to first of all label the parts of the triangle. So the length or the width of the triangle, the base, will be the same as the base at the bottom, so that will be 20 centimeters. And we need to find the height, which is this length here, which is 90 degrees to the base. And to find that, what we can look at is the fact that the total height of the whole thing is 13, and the height of the bit we don't want is 11. So what's left over? Well, 2 centimeters will be left over, so the height will be 2 centimeters of the triangle. So let's work out the area of the triangle first. Which is going to be half times base times height. Half times the base, which is 20, times the height, which is 2, will just give us 20. Now let's work out the area of the rectangle. And that's just going to be the width times the length. Width is 20. The length is 11, so that would be 220. Then to work out the total area of the whole thing, we're just going to add those together. So 220 plus 20, which is 240. The units are all in centimeters, and so the area units will be centimeters squared. So we're going to write an expression for the amount of people on the first bus. So they've started with X passengers and they've gone to 11 bus stops with X passengers. So altogether that is 12X. So we're going to have the first bus. And so we've got 12X. And then on the last bus stop, 19 passengers get on. So plus 19. Now for the second bus, well, we start with X and a further 5X come on. Because 5 bus stops with X passengers. So that's 6X altogether. And then 79 get on. And it says the first bus finishes with less passengers than the first. So the first bus finishes with less. And the way we show that is with this inequality here. Now all we need to do is solve that inequality. And we've got x on both sides, so we look at the x's. We've got 12x and 6x, so we always take away the smaller amount. So we're going to take away the 6x both sides. And next thing we're going to do is take away the 19 from both sides. And so, meant to be 60. Got ahead of myself. And the last thing we do is divide by 6 both sides. And so we've got x is less than 10. Now, it says here, assuming no passengers got off either bus, what is the largest value for x? Now, it is tempting to write down 10, but it says x has to be less than 10. So the biggest number we can get that is less than 10 is 9. So to find the area of a rectangle, we just multiply the width and the length. So that's what we're going to do here. But whenever you have an expression representing a length or a width or anything really, you just put brackets around it. So we go u minus 2 times u plus 9. Okay, and the way we do this is with our grid. And just going to draw out the grid. And so we've got u minus 2, and we're multiplying it by u plus 9. Don't want too many for some reason. And so we've got u times u, which is u squared, u times minus 2, which is minus 2u, 9 times u, which is 9u, and 9 times minus 2, which is minus 18. And what we're going to do is we're just normally going to be able to add these ones together. So our answer will be u squared, And then we're going to do 9u plus minus 2u. Well, that's just going to be 9u take away 2u, which is 7u. So plus 7u, and then minus 18 at the end. To find the pressure, we need the area and the force. And we're given the force in the question, and so all we need to do is find out what the area is, which will be the 7 times the 9, which will be 63 centimeters squared. And the force is given to us in the question, so what we can do is write down the pressure formula, which says that pressure equals the force divided by the area. Force is given to us as 2268. The area we've calculated is 63. Divide the 2 and you get 36. So it's going to be 36 newtons per centimetre squared. So I'm going to start off just with a quick sketch, and we know that the bearing of B from A is 85 degrees. So we're going to have A here and B here. And let's just draw a line between them, and let's do both our north lines. And so we know that this angle here is 85 because it's the angle on the bearing of B from A, so it's 85 degrees. So now it says work out the bearing of A from B. So the first thing we can do is actually just draw a line going down here, and we know that this angle here will also be 85 degrees because of alternate angles. It's always best to write that down somewhere, so we can just put in brackets here alternate angles, and we know that this angle here is going to be 180 degrees because it's a straight line. And I'm not a fan of doing the reasons on the diagram, so maybe perhaps I should have labelled this an x and this a y and written x equals 85 and y equals 180 somewhere else. And so to work out what the bearing is, I just need to do 180 plus 85. So 180 plus 85 is going to be 265 degrees. So we know that James knows that he has a square, so we can actually get rid of all of this bit. It's not relevant at all to the question. And the question asks, what is the probability that the square is blue? Well, there are 3 blue squares, so it will be 3 over, and how many are there in total? Well, it says the total is 17. So the answer is 3 over 17. To work out the area of a rectangle, we just multiply the width and the length. Here they are mixed numbers, so all we do is the width times the length. Now when you multiply with fractions, always make them top heavy first, or improper, and to do that you times the big number by the bottom and add it to the top. So we're going to do 1 times 2 and add it to the top, so 3 over 2. Same with this one, 1 times the 3 at the bottom, added to the top. 1 times 3 is 3, add to the top is 5. Now we've got to get the numerator, we don't need to get the numerator the same, we're multiplying. All we do now, really easily, is just multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms. So we've got to convert 15 over 6 into a mixed number because it asks for a mixed number. So 15, how many 6's go into 15? Well, we're first of all going to have 2 whole ones, and how many left over? There are going to be 3 left over. Now, 3 over 6 is the same as 1/2 because we can divide top and bottom by 3. So our answer is 2.5. So we're asked to find the value of n where both sequences have the same term. So I'm going to start off by equaling both nth terms to each other, and then we can find the value of n which gives the same term. So I draw my lines down. And I'm going to start off by getting rid of the n's from both sides. So we look to see which is the smaller amount. So we've got 12n and we've got 6n. So the smaller amount is the 6n. So we're going to take away 6n on both sides. And so that would be 6n plus 19. And we've got rid of the 6n, so it's just 79. Next thing we're going to do is get rid of the 19, so take away 19 both sides. And so we've got 6n equals 79 take away 19, which is 60. And finally, we're just going to divide the 6. And so that'll be n equals 10. So the value of n is 10. Now we can just test this, because if you do 6 times 10, which is 60, 60 plus 79, which will be 139. And then if we do the same for the top one, 12 times 10, which is 120, plus 19, which is 139. So they both have the same term when n is 10. To go from meters to centimeters, we obviously times by 100. But to go from meters squared to centimeters squared, we times by 100 per dimension. Now, whenever we talk about things in meters squared, we're talking about areas which have 2 dimensions. So we times it by 100 squared. So when we've got a 2 meters squared here, we times by 100 squared to get it into centimeters squared. So that's going to be 20,000. So the symbol here basically means and the way I remember it is if you draw that symbol and just put a line through it, you can make the word and. So we're looking at the probability of getting something that is in A and C. So the only ones that are in A and C are this 8 and this 9 here. So we're going to just add the 8 and the 9 together, which give us 17. Now we need to then work out how many numbers there are in total, so that's all of them. So 4 plus 8 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus 3 plus 11 plus 6. So we need the total, which is 54. And then we get the 17, and we put that over the amount in total, so over 54. So we know that 171 is 3 times 3 times 19. And what we do is we just compare 171 with 342. And we know that 171 times 2 is 342. So therefore 342 will have the same prime factors as 171, which is 3 times 3 times 19, but it will also have a times 2 in there. So the answer will be 2 times 3 times 3 times 19. It's important to remember our speed, distance, time triangle. So we've got speed equals distance over time. And here we are given a distance because from here we're 16 kilometers away from home. So the distance, let's just draw another triangle, the distance will be 16. And we're told that the speed is 32 kilometers per hour. So the speed is 32. So to find the time, we're going to do 16 divided by 32. So the time is a half an hour. And half an hour would bring us, if we start here, half an hour would bring us to 2030 because it's 8 o'clock where we start and we end, therefore, half an hour later. On a scatter graph, an outlier is a point which doesn't fit the pattern. And as we can see here, all of these coordinates fit kind of a nice line going down there. So they all are showing a trend. But we've got this point here that's nowhere near that trend at all. And that's what we call an outlier. So we know that these are going up in 2s, so this will be 28, so the x-coordinate will be 28, and this will be 19. So our coordinate will be 28, 19 for our outlier. Okay, so we're going to start by writing this out a little bit bigger, give us a bit more space. So it's minus 6x is less than 60. And we're going to do our tram lines down. And we're going to start by dividing both sides by minus 6, because that's what this is doing. It's timesing the x by minus 6. So we're going to divide both sides by minus 6. So that gets rid of the minus 6 on the left hand side. And it's going to be 60 divided by minus 6, which will be minus 10. Now we've got to be really careful here, because whenever you times or divide both sides by a negative, you must switch the inequality. So instead of pointing to the left, it's now going to point to the right. So our answer is x is greater than minus 10. So we're going to first of all work out where 9 is on the y-axis. Well, we've got 8 here and 10 here, so 9 will be halfway in between. And what we're going to do now is just draw a line across at 9, and then wait until it hits the line, and then we're going to draw a line down, and you can see here that x is 1. So our answer is that x equals 1. We're going to start by looking at the numerator and the denominator separately. So looking at the numerator first, we've got 9 to the power 16 times 9 to the power 46. Now, when you have two powers of the same base, so they're both 9, base 9, but base is the big number, then what you can do is you can add the indices. So we're going to do 16 plus 46, which is 62. So it's 9 to the power of 62. And looking at the denominator, well, you've got a power inside and outside the bracket. Whenever you have that, you can just multiply them. So it'd be 9 to the power of 40. Now, whenever you've got a division between two powers of the same base, which we have here, it's 9 to the power of 62 divided by 9 to the power of 40, we just take away the indices. So it'd be 62 take away 40, which will be 9 to the power of 22. So our answer is 9 to the power of 22. So I'm going to write the question out. So y equals x plus 15. And we're told that we want to make x the subject to the formula. Now what that means is we want x on its own. What's stopping x from being on its own? This plus 15. So to get rid of it, we do the inverse, the opposite of plus 15 to both sides. Take away 15. So we end up with having y minus 15 on the left hand side, and we've got rid of the plus 15, so we've just got x on the right hand side. So x is equal to y minus 15. So we're going to start by doing a multiplication grid. And we're multiplying the x minus 11, so x and minus 11, by the x minus 3, so x and then minus 3. So x times x is x squared, x times minus 11 is minus 11x, x times minus 3 is minus 3x, and minus 3 times minus 11 is positive 33 because two minuses make a plus. Put the terms together, and you'll notice here that we can simplify. So we've got two x terms, so we can collect the x terms, and that will give us x squared minus 14x plus 33. So our answer is x squared minus 14x plus 33. So I'm going to write this question out a bit bigger, just so we've got a bit more room. And we're asked to solve. So what we're going to do with this is we're actually going to start by putting our solving lines in, and we're going to try and figure out what we do to get x on its own. So we're going to start by subtracting 9 to both sides, and so that will leave us with the 10x squared on the left hand side and then 250 on the right. Then we're going to divide by 10 both sides, so we've got x squared equals 25, and then we're going to square root both sides. Now, this does give us 5, but it also gives us negative 5, because minus 5 times minus 5 is also 25. So our two solutions are 5 and minus 5. If I start by drawing a number line, and we're going to put the 110 in the middle. Now I'm going to label the next one down and the next one up. It says to the nearest 10, so the next one down would be 100, and the next one up would be 120. Now we're interested in the cutoff, and the cutoff point is between the two numbers. Okay, so that's the cutoff point. If it goes above that cutoff point, it would have rounded to the next number up. So if the number was here, it would round to 120. If the number is on the cutoff point, which we can see is going to be 115, then we know it would round up. So we need to find the biggest number in this part here. So this part here, and it includes this line actually, so it includes this line. So all the numbers that would have rounded to 110 would have been 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, which would be here. But if it was 115, it would have rounded to 120. So 114 is the biggest number it could have been before rounding to 120. And we know it didn't round to 120 because in the question it says it's 110 to the nearest 10. So our answer is 114. To find the largest weight this package could have been before it was rounded, let's do a quick number line. And we're going to just do it between the 24 and what it would round to next. Well, it's to the nearest kilogram, so the next thing it would round to is 25. The cutoff point for rounding is here. And that's going to be halfway between 24 and 25, which is 24.5. And that is actually going to be our answer. Now, some of you who are astute might realise that 24.5 would round to 25, but theoretically the biggest it can be is going to be 24.49 recurring. Let's just draw that a bit better, 24.49 recurring. And that is actually the same as 24.5. In your exam, however, you can write 24.49 recurring and you would get full marks, but for brevity, I would definitely recommend writing 24.5. The word truncated means that we just literally cut off the next number along. So if we imagine this is our number, we just cut it off. So it's not the same as rounding. We just don't change this digit at all. We just cut off the remaining digits. So the smallest number it could be before it was cut off is 79.500000. The largest number it could have been, well, it could have been 79.5999, etc. So that's the largest it could have been. So to do our error interval, well, the smallest it could have been is 79.5, and it could have been 79.5, and we'll call this x. But we're looking at any number that is less than 79.6. So any number that's less than 79.6. If it was 79.6, then when we cut it off, it would show as 79.6. What I'm going to start off by doing is rearranging this equation so that it kind of matches this one. So I'm just going to write it down. And we want the n to be -2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my rearranging lines in, and we're just going to add 10 to both sides. Now, we've already got this line drawn for us on this graph. And so all we need to do is draw this line. So we've got y equals 10x squared plus 8x minus 2 drawn for us. We just need to draw this line, which is y equals 10, and see where they cross over to find the solutions. So y equals 10 will be all the way up at the top. Let's just make sure I get it nice. There we are. I need to move that up a little bit. There we are. And let's read off the values that that gives us. So it comes down here, and it comes down here. So the values it comes down to are minus 1.6 and 0.8, and those are our solutions. So we're asked to express TQ in terms of P and Q. Well, we've got another Q here, because all of these are congruent parallelograms, and we have a P there. So if we're starting at T and getting to Q, we can go along this path here and down this path here. So we're going backwards down Q, in fact backwards down 2 lots of Q, and then the correct way down P. So it's either minus 2Q plus P or P minus 2Q. So this question will probably need a Venn diagram just to make it a bit easier. So I'm going to draw a Venn diagram. You don't need to. If you can work out how to do this question without, you can do. But I think this is a really tricky question to do without a Venn diagram. So it says that they picked 2 activities. It was either painting, which I'll put as a P, and sport, which I'll put as an S. So let's start filling in the information it gives us. So 11 picked painting and sport. So that will go in the middle, because that is painting and sport. And 11 didn't pick painting or sport, so they can sit on the outside. Now here's the problem. It says twice as many people picked sport than painting as one of their activities. So it's saying that the total number in, and let's just show it, the total number in the sport circle is twice as big as the total number in the painting circle. Now, what we can do is we can say, okay, so if the painting we label as X, then the sport will be 2X. But if you look, we've already got a number already in the sport, that 11 there. So in algebra, this will be 2X, take away the 11 that we already know about. And the painting is the same. We know the whole thing is X. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take away the bit we know there, which is the 11, and it will be X minus 11. Now we know that there are 66 students in total. So what we can do now is add up all of the parts of the Venn diagram and get it equal to 66. So X minus 11 plus 11 plus 2X minus 11 plus 11, and all of that will equal 66. This is going to be some solving, so we're just going to put our lines in. Now here we've got X plus 2X, which is 3X. And if I put my tool right, there we are. And we've got minus 11 plus 11, minus 11 plus 11. Well, those just cancel out. So we're left with just the 3X equals, and then 66. We're going to divide that 3 both sides. So we've got X equals 22. So if we go back to our Venn diagram now, we can fill in the blanks. So instead of X minus 11 there, we've got 22 take away 11, which is just 11. Instead of 2X minus 11 there, we've got 22 times 2, which is 44, take away 11, which will be 33. So it says, find the amount that picked sport and not painting, which is this 33 here. So we're going to first of all convert the 11 litres into millilitres. So we're going to do 11 times 1,000, which would be 11,000. Okay, so we're going to just draw a line, like a number line. And we're going to have the 11,000 in the middle. Now, what would be the next one down if we're looking at to the nearest 10 mil? So we're going to add a 10 mil on, which will be 11,010, and we're going to take the 10 mil away. So 11,000 take away 10 mil will be 10. 990. Now when we're looking at limits with the upper and lower part of it, we are looking at halfway points. So halfway here and halfway here. So this halfway point will be 10,995, and the next one will be 11,005, and that's the halfway points. And so that is going to be our upper and lower bound. And we just need to say that V can be anything above the 10995 and including that, and it can be anything below 11,005, but it can't include that, because if it did, if it was 11,005, it would have rounded up to 11,010. There's a lot going on with this question, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in all of the time signs that we don't normally show. So we've got 10 times 12x times y to the power 4 times 13 times x to the power 4 times y to the power 4. And I'm going to reorder these to put the numbers together, first of all. And with multiplying, it doesn't matter which way around you do it, so I'm not changing anything. I'm going to put the x's together. And I'm going to put the y's together. So, first thing to do is 9 times 13, which is just 117. Then we've got x to the power of 12 times x to the power 4. Now we know when we multiply two powers of the same base, and the base is x on both of those, we just add the powers. So it's 12 plus 4, which is 16. So it'll be x to the power of 16. And then y to the power 4 times y to the power 4, we just add them together, so it's y to the power of 8. First thing I'm going to do is add these column vectors. So we're going to add the tops first. And then we're going to add the bottoms. So it's plus minus 14. And so at the top it would be minus 4. And 11 take away 14 is minus 3. Then I'm going to pick a point on my shape, and the the top one tells us how far right we're going. So we know we're going 4 to the left because it's obviously a negative. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The bottom one tells us how far up we're going. Well, it's going to be down because it's a minus 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we can do that for each of the other points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And when we've done that, we can join them all up with straight lines. And label the new shape B. We don't have to for this question, but it might be helpful to draw a Venn diagram for this. And we've got green and brown leaves. So we'll have green on the left and brown on the right. So green and brown. And we're told that there are 19 green and 15 brown and 6 that were not green and brown. So the only number we can put in is the 6 on the outside of the Venn diagram. We're told that 19 are green, but we don't know which, either they're in here or a bit of both. So what we can do is we can label the center X, and we can say that there are 19 take away X just green, because they could have been both green and brown. And for the brown we can do the same, so it'd be 15 minus X. And for the next step, we know that all of them together add up to 32, because it says in the question. So we're going to add all of these, the 19 minus X, the 15 minus X, and the 6 together, and we know that equals 32. And let's get our solving lines in. So we've got minus x and minus x, so that will be a minus x. And we've got 19 plus 15 plus 6, which will be 40, equals 32. We're going to take away the 40 both sides. And we can just times by minus 1 both sides to make them both positive. So now we know x is 8, we can start filling in the Venn diagram. So it's 19 take away 8, which will be 11. X is 8, so we know that that's 8. And 15 take away 8, which is 7. So find the amount that were green and brown. We know it's going to be 8. So we can write this as a fraction, so it would be 2.84 times 10 to the power of 11 over 4 times 10 to the power of minus 2. What we can do is split this up into two fractions, so 2.84 over 4 times 10 to the power 11 over 10 to the power of 2, or minus 2. Okay, so we're going to start by doing 2.84 divided by 4. So we're going to just do the bus stop method, so 4 on the outside, and we've got 2.84 on the inside. 4's into 2 don't go, so carry the 2 across. 4's into 28 go 7, and 4's into 4 go 1. So it's going to be 0.71 times, and then the rules of indices say that if you divide two powers of the same base, they're both 10, then you just take away the power. So it's 11 take away minus 2. Now the two minuses, the two takeaways, actually convert to a plus, so it would be 11 plus 2, which would be 13, so it would be 10 to the power of 13. Now we've got a bit of a problem here because standard form must have a number between 1 and 10, and not including 10, at this position here, and this is obviously less than 1, so we need to convert this into standard form. So what we can do is just write the number out again. So I'm going to write this as an actual number, so it's 10 to the power of 13, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, fill in the zeros. So it would be 7, 1 and all those zeros. And then I'm going to put it back into standard form. Now the decimal point will need to be here to make it 7.1. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's going to be 7.1 times 10 to the power of 12. Now, with a bit of practice, you don't need to write out the whole number. You'll be able to just know that if you convert that into 7.1, then you just need to take away 1 from the power. But if you're not sure, and it's not an unreasonable number like 10 to the power of 105, then it's just worth sometimes just writing out the actual number and being 100% sure that you've got it the right way around. So we're told the length of this rectangle is u, and the width is u plus 2. Doesn't matter which way around we do it. And we're told the area is 80. So we can actually write an equation from this. So u times u plus 2, so that's the length times the width, is equal to the area, which is 80. So let's expand this. And what we're going to do is we're going to put everything to the same side. So all I'm going to do here is subtract 80 from both sides. And so we've got u squared plus 2u minus 80 equals 0. Now we're going to be using quadratics, so we're going to factorize this. And so we need two numbers that add together to make 2 and times together to make minus 80. So I'm going to put my brackets out. So we're going to have u at the start of the brackets. And let's have a think. So it's going to be 8 and 10. And one of them will be positive, one of them will be negative. Well, to add them together to make 2, the 10 will have to be positive, and then the 8 would have to be negative. And then minus 8 times 10 is minus 80. Okay, last thing is we get each of our equations equal to, each of our brackets equal to 0. So we can solve them. Let's just do this in normal colour. So u minus 8 equals 0, and let's solve that. And so we're going to add 8 both sides, and we've got u equals 8. And we're going to do the same for this right hand bracket, so u plus 10 equals 0. Get our lines in, and take away 10 both sides, so u equals minus 10. Now it might get confusing because it says find the value of u, but a length needs to be positive. So this minus 10 is not the correct answer. Our correct answer will be 8. And we can actually check this, because if I fill in the value of 8, so we can have 8 at the top here, and 8 plus 2, which is 10. 8 times 10 is 80. So we know that we've got the right answer. So when we're doing column vectors and adding and subtracting them, we just literally add and subtract the top and bottom numbers. So A plus B minus C will be, just looking at the top, 9 plus 18 minus 9. 9 plus 18 minus 9, which will equal 18. And the bottom will be 9 plus minus 18, so really minus 18, and minus 9, and so that will be minus 18. So our column vector will become 18 minus 18. So this question is asking us to find the probability of not A and B. So if we look at the, and I'm just going to quickly draw out a similar Venn diagram. So if this is A and this is B, then not A will be everywhere apart from A. So it will be all of this here. And if we do the same thing again, and this time we're interested in where B is, so we've got A and B, then B is this part here. So if you have a look and see which are shaded in both, you can see that this part here is shaded in both. So this part here is not in A and is in B. So it's this 3 here. So the probability is going to be that 3 over the total amount, so all of these added together, which is 25. So the thing we know about triangles is their angles add up to 180. So what we can do is we can say w squared plus 84 plus w plus 3w equals 180. And let's just put that together. So it's w squared plus 4w plus 84 equals 180. Now, with quadratics, whenever we're looking to solve, we want to have it equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to take away the 180 from both sides, so it equals 0. So we've got the w squared plus the 4w, but we want to take away the 180 from it, which will give us minus 96 equals 0. So with quadratics, when we're trying to solve them, we need to put them into brackets. And to do that, we need two numbers that add together to make the 4 here and multiply together to make the 96 here. So just going through different numbers for 96, and you can try different ones. The first letter in the bracket would be W, first thing in the bracket would be W. And I think it's going to be, well, it's going to be a positive and a negative to get that negative there. 96 is 12 and 8, so it would have to be, let's have a think. It'd have to be a positive 12 and a negative 8 to add together to make a positive 4. And 12 times minus 8 is minus 96. That works. And to solve, we look at the left-hand side first and get that equal to 0. So w plus 12 equals 0, and then solve it. Take our lines in. Take away 12 both sides. W equals minus 12. And we get the left-hand or the right-hand side, get that equal to 0. W minus 8 equals 0. Lines in. Add 8 both sides. W equals 8. Now we've got two answers here, but it says value of W. Well, we can't have a negative angle. So we know we're looking for W to be positive. So the answer must be 8. So to answer this question, you need to just know the answer off by heart. there is a diagram that can help us actually get there. And if we just draw a right angle triangle and put the lengths as 1, we've got right angle here, we can use Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to work out the fact that this is going to be root 2. Because it's an isosceles triangle, this angle here is going to be 45 degrees, and same with the bottom right one, but we're not interested in that. When we label it with our marked angle here, we've got the adjacent is here, and the hypotenuse is here. Now we know from trigonometry that cos x equals a over h. The angle is going to be cos 45, and a is going to be 1, and h is going to be root 2. Now, this is a bit of a strange one with 1 over root 2, because we need to actually be able to rationalise the denominator. And basically what that means, if you haven't done surds yet, or you aren't doing surds, is you times top 1 by root 2. And so we end up with root 2 over 2. So if you ever see 1 over root 2 is absolutely fine as an answer, but if you ever see the answer as root 2 over 2, the two are actually exactly the same. So writing 1 over root 2 is fine, or writing root 2 over 2 is also correct. So we notice with the simultaneous equations, we've got the coefficients of the x and the y's different, and I always focus on the y's, so I'm going to make the y's the same. And there's no reason you couldn't focus on the x's and make the x's the same, it's just I tend to always focus on the y's. So what I'm going to do is figure out what 3 and 8, so I'm ignoring the signs, what's the lowest common multiple of 3 and 8, so what's the first number in both of their times tables, and that's going to be 24, so I need to make them both 24. So I'm going to write out the first equation, so 2x minus 3y equals 12. Get my lines in, and I'll notice that I'm going to times everything by 8 to make that y, the coefficient of the y, to be minus 24. So we got 16x minus 24y, which is good, that's what we wanted. And then we're going to do 12 times 8, which is 96. Going to write the second equation, so we've got 3x plus 8y equals minus 7. And this time I'm going to times everything by 3. And so we've got 3 times 3, which is 9x, plus 24y, which is good, that's what we wanted, and then minus 7 times 3, which is minus 21. So I'm going to write these out again, so 16x minus 24y equals 96, and 9x plus 24y equals minus 21. So with simultaneous equations, we're working downwards, so I'm just going to show that with circles. Make sure the signs go with the y's. And we're either going to add or subtract to these. I'm just going to make that more clear. That's 96. And to know whether we're going to add or subtract, we look at the one we've made the same. So with the y's, we've made the same. And we look at the signs. If the signs are the same, we're going to subtract. If they're different, we're going to add. So S in the same is S in subtract. The D in the different is the D in add. Well, looking at them, they are different because the first one's a negative 24, the second one's a positive 24. So we are going to be adding. But we're not just going to add those, we're going to add all of them going downwards. So we're going to do our kind of sum line, and we're going to add going downwards. So 16x plus 9x is 25x. Minus 24 plus 24 is going to be 0, which is good. That's what we wanted. We want to get rid of the y's. And then we've got 96 plus minus, so effectively minus 21, which is 75. Do a quick solving by dividing both sides by 25. And we've got x is equal to 3. Now we know what x is, but we've got to find out what y is. So what we're going to do is substitute the value of x into the first equation. So we've got 2 times 3 minus 3y equals 12. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, so we're going to take away 6 both sides. And we've got a minus 3 as the coefficient there, so we're going to divide both sides by minus 3. So we've got y equals minus 2. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.